The UK's most dangerous offenders, IPPs, or that is what they are labelled as. Now that is what I'm talking about in this video, and primarily I'm talking about Joe Outlaw. Now Joe Outlaw is an IPP who has been in solitary confinement for 20 months, and he is a massive amount over his tariff. His original tariff was 4.5 years. He's been in prison for 13 years on a sentence that was abolished. Now, those of you that don't know what IPP is, I will break it down for you. IPP stands for Imprisonment for Public Protection. It was brought out in 2005 or 2004, 2005. Now, before getting into it as well, a few of the figures that I will be given in this video might be out by a little way, but the majority of the figures, from what I can find online, are as accurate as can be, just in case we get the idiots coming on and saying that's not the right figure. These figures are what I'm using in this video, and they are true to what I can find. So the IPPs were brought out in around about 04-05. And these were reserved for the most dangerous of offenders. Primarily, they were supposed to be for Bacon's nonsense. And if it was kept and used properly, like it was meant to be, then it would have worked. But the judges dished out far too many. There was only supposed to be 1,000 given out, but they gave out nearly 9,000 IPPs. That is 10% of the prison population serving an IPP, which is the same as a life sentence. It was a life sentence for some, but luckily for a lot of us, like myself, who are no longer serving IPP, it has been, or I had mine terminated by the parole board. And a lot on November the 1st this year, 2024, around about 1,200 qualified for the licence period where it was automatically terminated. Now, there is the odd few idiots, I'll refer to them as, that come up in the comment section and they say, you institutionalise, all you're doing is talking about prison. Then you get the ones that saying, you're out of prison, move on. It's not as easy as that when you have been IPP. And there is people that still inside that reach out to you. Plus, I will tell you a little bit more of the reason as well before getting into it properly about the channel. I brought this channel out because at first I called it Ruthless Fitness. After me book, what I wrote whilst in prison on the IPP recall, it kept me sane. It kept a lot of other IPPs sane, and it has helped a lot of people worldwide. And that was wrote whilst in prison. So I will always and forever talk about prison. Plus the way the channel's went, I'm at nearly 80,000 subscribers, and as you can imagine, the views I'm getting a good monthly revenue from these videos. So that is the reason why I'm talking about prison. Oh, moving on and getting into it. So Joe Outlaw was given IPP in 2011 for robbery with an imitation firearm. Now, Joe had been in and out of prison quite a number of times when he was younger. And this latest one, he had an imitation firearm. He was a drug user out here in the community and lost his way when he was younger, as a lot of young lads do, like I did myself. When you're younger, you don't think you've got anything good going in your life. You don't give a shit. You're not really bothered about your consequences. And he wanted more money for drugs. So he was in a takeaway shop, pulled out an imitation firearms, didn't hurt anyone. It was only, I'm saying only, the shopkeeper didn't know that it was, but it was only a fake gun. And he's pulled it out and said, give me some money. I'm not sure if he got any money or not. But obviously he was apprehended, caught and given IPP with a recommendation that he served 4.5 years and he's been in for 13 years. But this sentence was abolished in 2012 because it was deemed inhumane. It was deemed unfit, but guess what? The thousands and thousands of IPPs already serving the sentence were kept on it. Now, the purpose of this video, which I should have said at the beginning, hopefully you are still watching at this point, is that Joe Outlaw, he did actually change his name. He was called Joe Blogs. I can't remember his second name, actually. I should have looked it up. But he's obviously had a different name, but I believe he's changed his name. And I believe he might have done it by deed poll, so he is known as Mr. Outlaw now. Now, Joe has a hearing coming up, or a trial, on the 3rd of February next year, 2025. And I am going to help him arrange a peaceful protest outside of Newcastle Crown Court to try and get this case, or get his story heard, and try and help him in his case so that he doesn't get extra time added on, because he is on trial for being an escapee. He was up on the roof inside of HMP Franklin, and he has been prosecuted and charged with escape. Even though he didn't get out the perimeters of the prison, he didn't get over the fence, and he certainly didn't get over the wall. So he has been charged with escaping from prison. When he went to that block from Strangeways last year, which is HMP Manchester. So that was in April 2023 when he's climbed up on the roof in HMP Manchester, formerly known as Strangeways, and he was up there for 12 hours. He took a bit of paint up with him, and he took a brush and he wrote on the roof, "Free IPPs." So obviously he's protesting against this sentence, because as he well knows, and he wants everyone else to know, that this sentence is inhumane. Like I mentioned, it's been abolished, and it should not still be in circulation. So he was transferred up to HMP Franklin, where he was put in the segregation unit. And June that same year, the following month, June 2023, whilst in the segregation unit, he's actually managed to get up onto the roof and again caused a big media outcry. The Chronicle, the Northern Echo, all the local papers were there. Joe was up on the roof for a number of hours, brought back down, being charged with escape, and then transferred down to HMP Belmarsh, where he has been, he got transferred down to Belmarsh, then they transferred him to HMP Whitemoor, and he's been in the segregation unit for 20 months. Now, I've been in touch with a few people that know Joe, and I've been in touch with him myself, and he did send this voice message out. Obviously, he's in the block, so it was from a prison phone, and it was recorded, and I will let you hear that now. So here's Joe's message to me.
Yes, Rick, yeah. Easy, my mate. Well, first of all, as I said in that for you, I know you've already listened to that thank you thing for all the supporters and the whole campaigners and that, because the work they've done has been amazing, mate. And obviously the stuff that you've done as well, bro, like, you know, none of that, I think a lot of IPPs don't realise, you know, they've just been given, got the licences taken back, and it's just like, yeah, wicked, I'm free now. They don't realise how much campaigning, how much work and how much dedication, sadness and tears and all madness has gone into making that happen, you know. So I just wanted to put a thank you out there, but like I said in that anyway, big congratulations to you, mate. Can't believe you're finally free now, eh? What a fucking mission that's been for you, Bella, isn't it? Well, I'm happy for you, but I'm over the moon for you, because I heard what they were saying about the bullshit with, you're in contact with offenders and all that. Fucking people knock you sick, don't they? Well, yeah, mate, listen, this is where I need your help now, fella, big time. Because as you know, I've got this case coming up soon in Newcastle for escaping Franklin and getting on the roof and doing everything there. Now I need as much support as possible for that time. I've got a lot of papers already involved. We've got a lot of news journalists involved. We've got a lot of supporters involved. You know, loads of people are going to be there, people from FRFI. But whatever you can do to help that case when the time comes, you know, it's right on your doorstep, so it's brilliant. And there's another girl called Cherry as well. She's Newcastle based, so I need to speak to her and get her to get as much support as possible. So for the date of the trial, it's the 3rd of February. That's when the trial starts. So my plan is for the 3rd of February to have as many people there as possible, you know, doing a peaceful protest. you know, putting banners up, signs up, you know, how many people have taken suicide, how many people have had suicides, you know, all ranges of things, and get as many people as possible, because the Guardian's going to be there, Yorkshire Post is going to be there. I think Jazz has had contact with Channel 4, journalists from Sky. You know, there's going to be a lot of people and try and get as much about it as possible. If I get I'm not guilty, mate, you know, wicked. But even if not, you know, it's a time to actually shine some light on it all and think about it from the other perspective. If jury members are going to turn up, and then they see the crowd outside, and they see that there's actually a lot of people here fighting for justice. My whole trial, 90% of it relies on duress through the neglect of what the IPP has done to me and others. So, you know, it's going to be important for that. So that's the first thing, mate. I need you to have a think about that. Maybe just liaise with Jazz about what you think you might be able to bring to it. And the second thing is basically whatever help, as you can see, you know, Jazz is doing a good bit of work and trying to do what she can. We both are, you know, to do this campaigning and to get as much things popping as possible. But you've already got a big fan base. You know, you've already got a big following. So I need your help and support, bro. Whatever you can think of. If you need me to do like something similar to now, if you need me to put a video on mine, if you need Jazz to get involved, whatever it is, just something to try and boost these followers up. You know, put a video out saying something or other. I don't know, it's down to you, bro, but I just need your help to try and get as much support and awareness out there and try and bump my platform up as much as I can. So have a think about that and let Jazz know, please, yeah? And then the third thing is, I don't know if you're aware of a woman. I'll get back to you one sec, yeah? I don't know, sorry, Scrooge just come to the door. But he's fucking glad you're rid of all that, are you? Anyway, so, yeah, there's a lady called Kat Rosina, yeah? And she's a good campaigner. She's been doing a lot of work with IPPs for a long time. I don't know if you're aware of her, but she's aware of you. Now, when I tell you, this girl's unreal. Like, she puts so much work in for all those lot. She's a great support for me and Jazz as well. Like, she really does go out of her way and does a lot of stuff. Now, she was talking, me and her was talking about you. I could do with you getting in contact with her, because I think you'd really benefit from each other. You, because you've got a wider platform base. Her, because of the connection she's got within, like, the House of Lords and stuff. And she's proper active, man. She's on it, so I think you'd enjoy the conversation. So her name's Kat Rosina, and what I will do is I will get Jazz to give you her email address, or if it's okay with Kat, get her to give you a phone number so you can maybe ring her and have a chat with her. That's if you want to, but I think you probably will. You get a lot out of it. She's a good girl. Other than that, mate, take care. Thanks for everything, and hit me back soon. Let me know what you're thinking.
But Joe has also been quite social media famous, as in on TikTok and across YouTube. And last year I did share a couple of his videos, and he is quite a talented musician where he's got his guitar in a pad and he's singing away, singing about the IPP and the effects of it. So here are a couple of videos of Joe whilst he's in the pad, and you can have a listen to his songs now.
Get the IPPs out, man. Bit of truth, yeah? A street life full time. Watch out for the kid with knives. You can see it in his eyes, he's hungry. He wants your money like junkie. A street life full time. A kid strapped up, yeah, no lie. Squeeze that trigger when it's tricky. You know the streets get slippery. Kids go nuts like they're Conan. Whipping samurais out like Ronan. Got the man bag here and he own it. 9mm locked and loaded. About 12 it's county lines. 13 running from the lights. 14 now you're breaking down bricks. Bagging them up into picky mix. Street life. Hold tight. Watch out for the kid with knives. You can see it in his eyes, he's hungry. He wants your money like junkie. A street life all time. A kid strapped up, yeah, no lie. Squeeze that trigger when it's tricky. And you know the streets get slippery. They blame it on guns and rap. They talk about all these gangs and that. Why don't they talk the truth? The government's paving the path for the youth. Young mums are always in struggle. Young kids are always in trouble. So how do we change it? How about you just don't blame it on street life? Hold tight, but watch out for the kid with knives. You can see it in his eyes, he's hungry. He wants your money like junkie. A street life full time. A kid strapped up here, no life. Squeeze that trigger when it's tricky. And you know the streets get slippery. So many lost souls just sleeping. So much potential, no teaching. It's just hard to feel hope with a rope around your throat. And I don't know the answer, I just feel the pain. I feed them knowledge, I say, and let them find the way. Street life, hold time, watch out for the kid with knives. You can see it in his eyes, he's hungry. He wants your money like junkie. A street life, hold time, a kid strapped up, yeah, no light. Squeeze that trigger when he's tricky. You know the streets get slippery, yeah.
Joe is one of 2,900 inmates still serving an IPP sentence since it was abolished in 2012. But there has been massive debates on the IPPs about getting them resentenced, but nothing ever seems to happen. It's a never-ending nightmare. Now, I know firsthand and I know personally what it is like being in prison on a 99-year sentence, but it feels like in your head that there's never going to be a chance for you to be released. Some of these lads, I mean, Joe's been in 13, 14 years. Some of them have been in for 19 years. When it was first brought out, there is people that have never been released. And there is cases where someone got a 6-month IPP. It would have been a 12-month sentence. You would have been released after 6 months. But 19 years later, this person who was given a 6-month tariff is still in prison now serving this sentence. How can that be justified? How can any person out here with a sane mind say that that is normal and that is right? And the reason why I'm bringing this to the attention as well, because a lot of people don't have a clue about IPPs. There is a lot of scandals that's happened over the years, more notably the post office scandal. This is going to be another one of those scandals that when it comes out and everyone is finally released, but the IPPs will be compensated for this. Believe you me, what has happened to all the IPPs, myself included, obviously I was one of the lucky ones. I'm sane-minded and keep me shit together, and I knew what I had to do to get back out. But a lot of lads and lasses, because there is a lot of lasses being given this sentence, that just cannot keep the head down, and that's nothing to do with saying that they can't keep out of trouble. What about all these ones that have got underlying health problems, mental health problems? They're fucking deteriorating inside of prison. They're not getting any help whatsoever. Their mental health is screwed. They're absolutely fucked, and they're not getting any help whatsoever. Is it fair to just let them rot in a prison cell? They're now saying the reason why they're keeping some of them in is not because they're a danger to the public. That was the reason the sentence was given, to protect the public. Now the reason that they're given is that they're a danger to themselves. They're not releasing them because of the mental health problems, but the mental health problems have been caused through the IPP. So how is that justified? How can you keep someone in prison because of the mental health problems that was created because of the IPP? And when I'm telling you created for the IPP, my mental health problems were fucking deteriorating as well. And I will be a bit verbal and I'll swear on a little bit in this video, because that is what the IPP does to you. Now I will talk a bit about why my mental health was deteriorating as well. Even though this is about Joe primarily, I will talk about a range of different topics on the IPP. My mental health was deteriorating because of probation. People will say, well, it was your own fault. It wasn't my own fault when I was getting tortured off probation. No one deserves to be treated like that or treated like that from probation, who are supposed to be professional bodies within the prison system. But they make your mental health 100 times worse by the way they talk to you, by the way they treat you, by the way things keep getting deferred, by the way they give you bad reports, even though they're going off reports of 10 years previously, and they're still branding you that same person. If you're not sound-minded in prison and you're getting treated like this inside of prison, how else do you think you're going to react? What's that saying? Poke a dog enough times and it'll bite you. Probation don't off-poke you and try to get you to react. But they want you to react like that because they want you to shout on and have a bit of backlash, and then they'll say, right, you've just acted in an aggressive manner, you're still a danger to the public, a danger to society, you aren't being released. Then it's an easy enough excuse for them to write you a report and say you acted in an aggressive manner, you aren't being released. But this is the situations that everyone on IPP has to endure, and it never ends, even when you get out here in the community. When you're out here and you're on licence and you go into probation, the torture never ends, believe you me. But I will give a bit of advice to the IPPs who are out here in the community waiting for their turn to have their licence terminated. You will have it terminated one day, believe you me. So keep strong, hold the faith, keep yourself fit and healthy, both physically and mentally. Get yourself active and don't let the system win. Because what they want is to have you back in prison. They do not want you off licence, believe you me. There is a small percent of probation officers that are decent, that do help you. But in my own opinion, in my own experience, 80% of them are dogs, and they want you to feel, especially if you do change your life around like I did, and you're doing well for yourself, and they look at you worse than what they did when you were off the rails. So with that bit of advice to anyone still serving IPP out here in the community, do what is asked of you. Just get on with your life. Then once the IPP is behind you, move on with your life, put it behind you. Obviously, I've put it behind me, but I'm still talking about it because I'm helping people who are still in prison. Another prisoner, which I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, is Pepsi Watson, who was another IPP campaigner. But I will do a separate video on him because I'm in touch with him as well. He's been back in on a fucking 4-year recall with no further charges or anything. And that is another thing. I mean, there's loads of different information. I'm bombarding with loads here, one after the other, because there is that much. So do forgive us if you think the video is a bit bunged up in places where I'm just going from one to another, but there is that many different subjects and cases to talk about on the IPP. I'm just freestyling it here. I haven't jotted anything down. I've got a little few notes in front of us, or not notes, few articles online from The Guardian, because obviously The Guardian's one of them papers that gives you, the majority of it talks the truth. So I've got a lot of information and it might be a little mixed up, but it's all coming out and it's all in the video, which is the main thing. And with a massive following across my YouTube and TikTok, 80,000 subscribers on YouTube, 66,000 on TikTok. I've got a massive following. So this platform is also to help people. So again, the ones still out on IPP license, just do what's asked of you. It's a short time compared to the time you've spent in prison to keep your head down, knuckle down, do what's asked of you. Don't argue back, just get it done, bite your fucking tongue and get your probation over and done with and get on with your life. And the ones that are still inside, anyone's family members or anyone watching this, the little bit of advice for you lot, just get your head down, bite your tongue like I've just said there, get your courses done, do whatever needs to be done of you and get out here and move on with your life and get this fucking IPP done and dusted once and forever, because these aren't going to do nothing to get you out. There's only people like myself, campaigners, who are going to make a change. Now, my input has been minimal compared to what the likes of Shirley De Bono, Donna Mooney and Sarah, and as these ladies, I'll refer to them as, because they are ladies, they are the ones that have made changes for the IPPs. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be off my licence now. It was them that made these changes happen. Pushed and pushed and pushed. And this was all because of their own personal circumstances with family members serving IPP or were serving. In the case of Donna Mooney, her brother, rest his soul, killed himself inside of prison serving IPP. There is 100 people committed suicide serving this sentence. There's 270, I believe, altogether who's died on IPP. A lot more of these would have been suicides, but they've put it down as over 90, but there's been a lot out here in the community who have killed themselves as well. But out of the 2,921 IPP prisoners as of the 30th of September, this is 1,269 who have never been released, with the remaining 1,652 haven't been recalled to custody. But a massive proportion, I dare say, around about 80 or 90% of these recalls have been no further criminal offences, no further charges. They've been recalled for, listen to it, bad behaviour. Bad behaviour can be just having an argument or not complying with probation, and they're getting recalled to prison and they're sitting in there for years on end. Like Pepsi Watson, been in for 4 years. He put a video on his social media talking about probation, and they recalled him for that. No offences, no criminal charges, and he's sitting in prison 4 years later. That is an 8-year sentence. That is a sentence where someone has committed a serious offence out here. That is an offence, or that is a sentence what people get for stabbings, robberies, things like that. Nonsense don't even get that long. And he's been in there on an 8-year sentence, the equivalent, and he hasn't committed any further offences. How is that justified? So, out of them, it says 1,269 have never been released, and one of them is the one I've talked about, who was given a 6-month tariff, and he's still in now, 19 years later, on a 6-month tariff. That's 26 weeks he could have served and been back out 18 years ago. Guess what? There's been hundreds, thousands of murderers went into prison and been out in the time that this man who's serving a 6-month IPP, thousands of murderers have been in and out in the time he's been in. Figure that one out, people. Let that sink in. And he's still in there now. But because he's been in that long, his mental health has deteriorated. A lot of these lads and lasses are sitting behind that door, having hallucinations, thinking that everyone is against them. The ones that are surviving, because like I've mentioned, 90 odd have committed suicide, who couldn't handle it no more, couldn't handle any more rejections on a sentence that has been abolished. How does that, or how can you justify that? It just doesn't make sense. And this is what is still going on with this inhumane sentence, and I'm bringing it to the public's attention, trying to get everyone aware of what is actually going on. And I am going to help Joe. Like you've heard in that voice message, he's asking for my help. I would be a scumbag if I was to turn him down and not help him when he's reached out asking for me help, when he's in there suffering in the segregation unit, left to rot on a sentence that was abolished. When that sentence was abolished, everyone should have been terminated at the same time. Or if not, because there is some dangerous ones, I'm not going to dispute that. There is some that you wouldn't want out on the street. But do a proper action plan, a proper resentencing of everybody. And the ones that are a danger, especially the ones that are a danger to children, keep them in. We're not saying release them immediately. We're saying resentence them and do it accordingly. All these ones that have been in that haven't committed any further offences whilst in prison either, then let them out. Give them a chance at life before they take their own lives, because a lot of them will be doing more, or a lot of them will be taking their lives in these coming years if things don't go to plan. Because, like I've mentioned previously, I know what it's like stuck in there on this sentence. Luckily, I had a loving family and a lot of support on the outside, but I can understand why they would turn to drugs. There was a lad that I was in with, a Singy, Indian lad from Bradford, who I became friends with. He was into his 9th or 10th year, I can't remember exactly. He was given a 4-year tariff. He'd done everything that was asked of him, kept his head down. 6 years later, when he went off for a parole hearing, he'd never had an adjudication, which is a nicking, never had any trouble inside. But because, no fault of his own, couldn't get to different prisons to do the courses, they give him a knockback. He then got another knockback a year later because he hadn't gotten to the prison in time to do the course. So what happened? Through no fault of his own, all these knockbacks, he couldn't handle it no more. The fear and the feelings of anxiety of being trapped in there and not being able to get out is horrific. I know firsthand because I felt it. But not to the severity of the likes of Singy, who's been in 8, 9 years and they keep getting knocked back. So after 7 years, when he couldn't get to that prison to do the course and he got another knockback to keep doing the course or to move to do the course, spice came on the scene inside of prison. Singy sampled the spice and there was no looking back. It took him out of prison. He loved the feeling of not being inside a prison and being out of his head. So when he comes up on his next parole hearing, what do you think happened? He's been nicked for spice, he's had a drug test, and he gets a knockback. Now the knockback this time is because he's on drugs, and he's taking drugs because of the IPP sentence. Now you can get me drift where I'm going with this. This is what they're facing inside of prison. And I cannot put my hand on my heart and say that I wouldn't have turned to drugs if I didn't have a support and I kept getting knocked back like that, because the feeling of being trapped in that cage and not being released through no fault of your own is unbearable. Now that is why you can't judge these ones that are taking drugs inside a prison, because you don't know what they are going through. But the parole board don't let them out because of that, and it's an ongoing situation which needs sorting out ASAP. But like I've mentioned, getting back to Joe Outlaw, he went through his sentence where he didn't have any violence or any further charges, but there was one in 2021 when he was sent that actually put him in HMP Wakefield. Now imagine putting someone there probably just to piss him off. It is a whole, but the whole of the jail is a nonce jail. So imagine putting someone who has been in prison all those years, one release, still in on an inhumane sentence that's been abolished, and then you go and do something like that and chuck him in a nonce jail in amongst nonces and expect nothing to happen. These nonces as well will know he's IPP, and the will of being goading him or winding him up, knowing or thinking that he couldn't react or do anything because he's over tariff and he's wanting to get released. So Joe has lashed out and he got an extra 10 months, I think it was, to run alongside his sentence. So these are the scenarios as well that you're facing in prison on an IPP. You aren't supposed to react to anything. You're not supposed to react to any dramas. If you're on a wing, someone is winding you up, goading you, someone hits you first, you then retaliate and hit them back. He's on a fixed term. He's still on his release date. But you, IPP, you reacted in a violent manner, so you have got to serve another 2 years inside a prison without lashing out or reacting in a violent manner. Now, getting back to the recalls as well, when I mentioned 80 to 90% of these recalls are for no further offences, it's mainly down to either intelligence, which is a load of bullshit because intelligence should have to be proven. Intelligence can't be the coppers ringing up your probation. If the coppers ring probation and say, we've got intelligence on this person, even though there's nothing to back it up, the coppers might have a dislike to you, they don't want you back out, or someone might be chatting shit about you behind the scenes to get you off the streets. The coppers ring probation and say, we've got information that Mr. X is supplying, or Mr. X is committing violent offences. Where's the proof? Well, there isn't any because he hasn't been charged or he hasn't been pulled in by the police and questioned, but there is suspicions and there is intelligence. Probation, the majority, spineless, will just say, right, recall him without even looking into it. Then you're sitting in prison and you've got to wait 2 to 3 years for your parole hearing. just to try and prove your innocence. It's like being on trial again. You have got to sit on the parole board, plead for your life, answer their questions, give your reasons why you think you've been recalled, even though it's out of your hands. It's been done maliciously. And a lot of the time, because it happened in my case, when there was police intelligence, that was the first thing the parole board questioned us on. They said, what's this about police intelligence that we have on you for supplying drugs? I turned around and said, it's a total load of bullshit. I've never been pulled in off the police. I've never been raided. My car has never been stopped and searched. I've never been stopped in the street. So if there was police intelligence I was supplying, why didn't they act on it? Why didn't they pull us in the street? Why didn't they raid me house? The parole board did turn around and said, right, we're dismissing this. We'll question you no further and we will bear no judgment on this intelligence because it seems as though it is what it is, a load of shit. So that was no further. But that doesn't matter in your case that they've just dismissed it. You've sat in there for 2 or 3 years waiting for a hearing for them to just dismiss it. But what about the last 2 or 3 years of your life sat in prison waiting for this? How is that justified? So that's what I'm saying about the recalls. You should not be allowed to be recalled, or they should not be allowed to recall you without charging you first. Pulling you in for a police interview, fair enough, get charged, then it's down to probation to recall you. Not recalling you without even questioning you. Probation don't even pull you in and ask you your side of the story. Why do you think this has been made up or made against you, this allegation, this intelligence? They just say recall. Then probation have got the same powers as judges and magistrates. They can click the fingers, send you back to prison for anything. They've got more power than the fucking judges because they need a proper case to remand you into prison. But these can recall you like that. At least when you go to court, there's charges. Then the CPS decide on whether or not you should be charged. Then the courts decide whether or not you should be remanded. But an IPP prisoner doesn't see a court, doesn't see a police station, doesn't see an interview. It's immediate recall straight back into the prison. How is that justified? They should have to charge you before recalling you. In my own personal opinion, I believe it should be down to the parole board. It's down to the parole board to release you. It's down to the parole board to terminate your licence. So it should be down to the parole board to issue your recall. At least then it's done properly with a few panel members and not just one bitter probation officer or one bitter manager, as in most cases. But I will talk a little bit about when I've seen my experiences with probation. It might be different out in different areas out in the cities. But here in County Durham, in Stanley, my area, I was one of only 2 IPPs. The other one had his, not abolished at the time, but he had his suspended, his supervision. So I was the only person in my jurisdiction serving IPP. And I was treated like a dangerous fucking predator. I was treated ridiculous on my IPP. I was treated worse than a murderer. But I'm not sure, different people for different cases, but with me being in a small area, that was my situation. Obviously, out in the cities, when they're dealing with hundreds of IPPs, it'll be different because I've heard from other people it is a bit different. But this is my story and how I was treated by probation. But getting back to Joe Outlaw, obviously I've covered a range of different things. There is loads of more videos I'm going to be doing on this, and I am going to be inviting IPPs on my channel to do a talk, ex-IPPs, campaigners of IPPs. I'm going to get you on my channel to do a talk. Obviously, we've got a couple of people on, we can do different, bounce off each other and talk about different topics and have a good debate about it. But I have covered a good range of different things in this video. But if there is anything I have missed, please let us know in the comment section, and I will get more videos done on the IPPs. But getting back to Joe Outlaw, he is in HMP Whitemoor. I'll put his details in the comment section and in the description. If anyone wants to drop him an email or a letter, I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. The man doesn't deserve to be where he's at. He is a human being at the end of the day. He should be sitting out here with his family or creating families, because a lot of IPPs haven't got families out here, but there is chance for them to get out and create a family and get on with their life. And that's what we want for all these IPPs still rotting away in the system. But on the 3rd of February, we're going to arrange a peaceful protest outside of Newcastle Crown Court for Joe Outlaw, help him with his case, and hopefully he gets a not guilty and he gets a chance to get on with his life and gets out of that segregation shithole, because they are now talking about sending him to Woodhill. Obviously, when you're in them segs, they just chuck you around. You go from seg to seg. Now, he is supposed to be going to Woodhill soon, so we'll see what happens. But I will keep you all updated. Hopefully, you are enjoying this. And if you are, remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and share the video as much as you like. Get as many people talking about this IPP nightmare. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe.
It all started off when I was growing. Oh, I kept on falling down. I kept on tumbling down. But then I soon found my feet, like I was destined to find this beat. But it ain't so sweet. They told me when I was young, yeah, that I would be drunk. Anything that I want, I just gotta be strong. But it's all so long. I keep on falling, crashing, tumbling down. Can't seem to keep above the ground. Oh, how I tumble down. But when I fall down, yeah, I get back up. It's just the stuff you know we're made of. We're born to be tough. I keep on falling further and further. You tell me that you're gonna what hurt you. You say that I'm a glutton for pain. You tell me that I let my day. That's what they say anyway. But all I feel is rain. I keep on falling, crashing, tumbling down. Can't seem to keep above the ground. Oh, how I tumble down. And when I fall down, yeah, I get back up. It's just the stuff you know we're made of. We're born to be tough. I keep on falling, crashing into the dirt. It seems that I love